Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode number 260. This is reviewing the 260 episode series, The Fireworks of Love. Episode starts out with Boruto taking care of, some shopping for Kakashi. Reason? He got bad back. Yep. And he gets some dumplings afterwards. This is a nice bit of a callback to the original series. Yes, this is interesting because you don't see dumplings in this whole entire series. This is probably the first time since I've seen Anko eat them in like one of her episodes she appeared in. By the way, Anko put on a lot of weight since the original series wrapped up. Since Shippuden wrapped up. So you see two old men arguing. Or apparently the taller one is from the new city and the shorter one is from the old city. Yeah. So they argue over something. Calling him a traitor. The grandkids get involved. By the way, the fully grown adults, by the way. Now, they don't like the fact they're fighting, and apparently the employees have no problem with that at all because, the whole thing of old city versus old town versus new city. Yeah, it's kind of like old versus new type of thing. It's odd to say the least. So basically, Boruto talks to the lady who's the granddaughter of the shop they're at. It's because they're arguing over a fireworks display. That is the only reason why they're arguing. It was because of a fireworks display. Yep. Oh yeah, and we also see that the two grandkids stare at each other, very much a bit of surprise. They don't say anything to each other. And it turns out the reason why they were staring very awkwardly at each other because they're in fact engaged and married. Which Boruto congratulates them on that. So, and he asks the question, does their grandfathers know? They don't. They can't get married while they're still fighting. Okay, pretty simple enough. So they talk to the other shop owner. Or it turns out he actually was previously friends with them. And you see a picture that he was there, but he tore out the picture. Heard about cakes. So they eventually have a talk in the old strategy room. Yes, now here's the thing. This room, as far as I can tell, this sitting room has very rarely appeared in Naruto franchise. Yeah, in the case of this series, I'm trying to think. I think the last time it may have shown up was when the previous Kage showed up in the series. I think that's probably when it showed up last. Was when they had that one episode where the previous Kage showed up for like a little sit-down meeting, and I think they used this room. I'm not sure. Because this website gets a really looking room. It very rarely ever appears. Yes, because normally when you see the Okage like building per se, what's the rooms you normally see in this place? You see the office, you see, mostly just the office and reception area. But here's the strange thing about the office itself. Generally put, basically the regular office is used by all the Kages shown in the series, except for the third one who decided to switch rooms for some reason. Yes, though we did see Tsunade briefly use their old teacher's room because that little steps thing, and of course he's running on the floor because the old fashioned. Yeah, for some reason they show him flashback where he actually did use that room, and he chose not to use the regular Kage room for some reason, and then all the rest of the Kage use regular office, no problem. So, try over cake. Yeah, and it turns out he tries to do a little bit with cake, and then they leave. Oh yeah, and by the way, it turns out the Kakashi's involved with this because the granddaughter's got a first edition copy of Makeout Tactics Volume 5. Which apparently there's an alternate ending to the book that's only found in the first edition that caused a lot of people who read it to pass out. And here's the thing. Kakashi was actually friends with the person who wrote these series, Jiraiya. He does mention by name, nor does he mention the fact he knows the owner. He actually knew the actual author of the series. Here's the strange thing, though. Here's the thing. Now, I do like it that the Mega Tactics book does appear again, because This book has become associated with Kakashi a lot. Like anytime you see him when he's not doing training or let's just say take part in action fighting, what do you usually see him doing? Reading a book, reading makeup tactics, volumes of a series he's read several times. And of course, Jiraiya, because he's good friends with him, probably because also he's his teacher's teacher, he's gonna give him free copies of his book where he can basically publish copies of his book before they're actually officially released. Like he released like deluxe editions of these books before they officially got released because they're good friends. Yep. And I think Akashi has all the volumes released by Jiraiya. And I don't know if he has the heroic one, the one where Naruto got his name. I don't know. Because he's only seen reading Makeup Tactics, not the one about the heroic story, which of course Minto loved the story so much he requested his teacher's permission to name his son after the main character, Naruto. Yeah, that's a story that's been mentioned in the flashback a few times, which I love. That flashback is by far a key moment for Naruto's backstory, is where he gets his name from. Basically, Jiraiya basically kind of picked up the name, kind of. Yeah. So, speaking of the Hokage, Naruto himself does not physically appear in this episode. There's no mention of Sadara or Mitsuki. What the heck they're up to? It's almost like basically just Boruto on his day off, just randomly ask Kakashi of all this stuff. So they eventually do. Of course, Kakashi comes to the interesting idea. Of course, for the cake. The cake didn't work, so he comes to the suggestion: have both of you displays fired at the same time, and probably like no cheating, whatever. And then apparently, like then Kakashi slips away from Boruto and the two grandkids, where apparently he puts on his own reporter disguise. First time in a long time. This is only like the third time he's done in the series where he's actually put on this disguise. Because I think the last time this happened was basically when he got word of that group who one of the kids who's basically a big fanboy of his. That was probably the last time I could think of where he put on this disguise, because he's very rarely appeared in the series. It's nice to see Kakashi. I love seeing Kakashi in the series. It's my personal favorite characters. And apparently, yeah, and then the fireworks go off, and it turns out the fireworks are switched. And they'll find this on like half of the display. Well, wait, those aren't my fireworks. And the other was realized the same thing. Yeah, it turns out Kakashi switched both of them. And then, of course, basically, like, they both agree with both of you. Did a good job. And both the grandkids mentioned, oh, yeah, possibly getting married. They're like, what? You have that relationship? And they agreed to settle differences, and they have the wedding in the episode. Though we do have, before that, we have Kakashi getting, like one of these presses on his back. Now I'm thinking, okay, if he has back problems, go see Sakura. I'm sure she can heal it for him. Oh, wait, we gotta use modern-day techniques. Like, I'm surprised Boruto couldn't just say, oh, by the way, they had this whole thing, they mentioned in the episode, the whole thing with the fight. He does bring up this in the episode, which this is definitely true. We had immediate fights between Naruto and Sasuke, which, yes, that is definitely true about that. It's interesting, though, he brings it up, because I like it when he references the original series. Like, if you ever watched the original series, they'd probably be good to know, like, if you just watched this one and you never saw the original series, like, And, of course, the Sasuke part of the series, like, because we have the whole Naruto Shippuden, like, I guess you can say that'd be a good way to get new viewers into the original Naruto series, along with Naruto Shippuden. Despite both series being really, really long. Yes. The original Naruto series is like 235 episodes, while Shippuden is, 500 episodes. Which, when I did a review of it a couple years ago, I actually got as far as like the 10th season before I stopped. Yeah, I got that far. The reason why I stopped, because I had other stuff I wanted to do, and I want to put the series to the side. How about I think go back to it? I have no media plans to go back to that one, but I do plan to go back to the One Piece review. I'll do that a little later. Oh yeah, and they have the wedding variant, which looks very similar to the wedding they have for Naruto and Nara, which in the franchise, this is probably the second ever wedding ever shown in the franchise. And you're probably thinking, wait, was there any weddings ever shown in Naruto? Yes. They did show Naruto and Nara in their wedding outfits prior to the wedding itself, which they did not show the ceremony in the final episode, which I still think that was quite stupid. I mean, you could have had a bonus episode before you started Boruto. Oh no! And of course, the only time we see sort of a ceremony for that is in the credit sequence for the film The Last, which is a great movie. I do recommend seeing it, but I do recommend seeing it after you watch like if you read just the manga, read up until the penultimate chapter, then watch that movie because the movie takes place 2 years after the events of the series. But in terms of the anime, you can probably watch it after you watch season 20 of Shippuden. It's probably the best time to watch it because there's stuff in the show they reference. Yep. But in the case of this episode, it was actually pretty good. Next week is going to be Kawaki joining Ninja Academy, which could be interesting given the fact he's taller than all the students. Yeah, I know how you feel, dude, because that's kind of how it was when I was in kindergarten. I vaguely remember kindergarten when I was had to go through the kindergarten class, and I was the tallest person in the whole class. I'm not going to go into the reason for it because basically it's personal. Actually, it was due to stupidity at the time. Yep, but yeah, that's it for Sick Review. Stay tuned for our review for One Piece. Well, the One Piece review on the dub episodes. Now, I don't know when the next episode will release. I'm guessing Friday, but who knows, okay? Next video. Bye.